Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 8-game CSGO main slate on Monday. The early slate. We do have a 4-game later slate or main slate. I'll have a video up for that after this as well. But if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports daily fantasy sports slates. Esports including Call of Duty, League of Legends, and this one, Counter-Strike CSGO. Also, just want to say thank you guys for all support. I believe we're at 3.36 thousand subscribers now on YouTube. So thank you guys. Thank you for all support. If you like the content, again, I would appreciate if you leave a like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, just leave a 5-star review. It's just the DK DFS show. I upload these videos to the Apple Podcast as well. But yeah, let's jump into. Also hope you guys had a good week for the RBC Heritage PGA Tournament. Went really well. I know Webb was chalky, but he was my favorite play. Ended up winning it. So I had a pretty good day. I'll talk about it more, I guess, in my next video for the next tournament, which there is another Millionaire Maker for that as well. But yeah, I guess that'll be for a different video. Let's talk about some CSGO. So we have an 8-game slate here. This is way different than we've seen in a long time. We've been seeing consistently, 2-3 game slates, right? And now we have an 8-game slate. So this is a lot different than how we've had to approach slates recently, right? So normally the chalky approach is like a 2-2-2 or maybe a 3-2-1. Now we have 8 games to pick from. So now it's most likely going to be like a 1-1-1-1-1. And maybe you can use 2 from one team if you think they really dominate. But yeah, it's gonna be a really interesting slate. I think there's a lot of different ways you can go. So let's not waste any more time. They do not have the odds on Bovada right now for these games, but I did find them on another website here. Let me just confirm they're not up here yet. Yeah, they're not up here. So let's close out of that. Let's go to we got gg.bet. I found all these games. So yeah, let's start the first game here on Draftkings. So that would be Fnatic and Nordavind. So these Fnatic are pretty big favorites here. They are minus 833 favorites. So almost the biggest on the slate, right? I think we have Complexity minus 1250. We have Mad Lions are pretty big favorites at minus 900. So they're the third biggest favorites of the day here on this slate. So the way I'm going to attack this slate is the large underdogs are basically completely. I'm just going to completely avoid them. I don't think there's merit to playing them in this slate, right? There's so many different ways you can go, and like the off chance that maybe they do pull off the upset, there's a chance that they don't even have like the top score. So I don't think it's worth the risk to going for these huge underdogs in this slate, right? When you have 8 games, on a 3-game slate you can make the argument for that, but when you have 8 games, I don't think the risk is worth it. So this Nordavind team will basically be a complete stay away from me. I think, if I had to pick one, it would be Nat2 Sphinx. But I don't want to go there. I really want to target this Fnatic team, who I think looks pretty good for the prices, right? So we have Brawl at 8.4, Flush at 8K, Crims at 7.8, JW at 7.2. Golden is at 6K. He's had some decent games. I think he's a viable cheap option just because they're such big favorites, but I think I like some other cheaper options a little bit more than Golden. But now with the top guys, right? So Brolin 8.4, Flush at 8K, and Crim 7.8K. When those three are priced about the same, I got to give the edge there to Brolin, who has the best numbers the last 3 months here. 0.73 kills per round, 0.67 deaths per round. He's the most aggressive player in this team. Again, I think he has the most upside. Crims is not too far behind at 0.69 and 0.66. Then Flush at 0.68 and 0.68. I think JW is slightly negative there, 0.65 and 0.67. So for their prices, Brolin's definitely my favorite there at 8.4K. Flush and Crims are viable, right? I just think they're maybe pivots, right? Brolin's definitely going to be probably the highest owned on this team. If you want to get different, again, Brolin's going to eat up a lot of the ownership. You could go to Flush and Crims. So, Yeah, I think Brolin is the optimal play, but again, that's not saying Flush or Crims can't outscore him. So those two are definitely playable. My favorite play here would definitely be Brolin for his price. JW at 7.2. That's getting up to there to the point where I would just prefer getting to Crims for a little bit more, right? So, when JW is in the mid 6K range, that's when I like to target him, or even low 6K range. 7.2, probably a stay away for me. So let's move on to the next game here. Let's see if we can find it. So we have, where is it? Heroic versus Endpoint. Heroic are favorites, minus 323 favorites. So if you're just looking at the odds, right, this one has, upset could happen, right? If you're like a lot of the games in the slate some teams are massive favorites, whereas this one, not enormous, right? Minus 323 is still pretty big favorites. But yeah, let's talk about, well, on the EP side, again, you could get to one of these guys if you want to get super contrarian, but it's probably a stay away for me. Crucial has the best numbers. What's his price point at? He's at 7.4K. If you want a dart throw, that would be the one guy I'd consider. But again, I don't think I want to do it. On the Heroic side, there's some guys that are interesting plays here. Now, it's definitely Stavin and Nico that stand out to me here. Stavin at 8.8, Nico at 7.2K. You look at their numbers, like compared to everyone else on their team, they really stand out, right? So you have Stavin 0.75 and 0.63, Nico 0.72 and 0.65, Tessa's slightly positive, Barup slightly positive, and Cadian slightly positive. But it's Stavin and Nico that do stand out. I'm not saying those other three are out of play, but it's the top two guys I have the most interest in. Now, when you have Stavin at 8.8 and Nico at 7.2K, I think I'm going to give the edge to Nico for the price, right? Now, that's not saying Stavin's out of play. I still think he's a viable spend up for sure. But when those two are pretty similar plays and you got about a $1,600 difference, I'm just going to give the edge to Nico there. So next, let's move on to Dignitas versus Fate. Let's see. Where are we at here? Dignitas minus 357 favorites. So again, pretty big favorites, but not the biggest in the slate, definitely. This Dignitas team has really struggled. They've lost 4 of the last 5 games, but this Fate team is a team I think they should be able to bounce back here. Fate has won the last 3 games, but not against great competition. So let's take a look at the Dignitas side first here. We have Force at 8.6, Halzerk at 7.8K. Those are really the only two I have interest in. Get Right at 7.6. Too close to Halzerk for me. And then Freiburg and Zist are complete stayaways. It's the top 2 guys with Forrest and Halzerk. Again, you have Forrest, if you look at his numbers the last 3 months, 0.72 kills per round, 0.67 deaths per round. Halzerk at 0.71 and 0.66. So those two, again, are almost identical. And you get about almost $1,000 difference. So I got to give the edge to Halzerk. He's definitely my favorite play here on the Dignitas side. Not saying Forrest is out of play, right? But if you're going to make me just pick one, it's going to be Halzerk for me. I think he stands out as a pretty good option there for his price. And on the Fate side, it's basically a stay away for me. You can scroll through these guys' historic numbers the last 3 months. H4RN, however you pronounce his name again, I have not got to watch this team at all. He has the best overall numbers. He's 7K. I guess that would be the one-off. But really, again, the underdogs in the slate, I don't know if it's worth the risk to target a lot of these guys. So next, let's talk about Mad Lions. Mad Lions versus Pact. Mad Lions are huge favorites here. They're the second biggest favorites of the day at minus 900. You got to really like this Mad Lions side here. So let's talk about them first. Bubshy at 8.4. You're getting him at a slight discount. Like the most expensive guy is at 9K. Bubshy at 8.4K. For him being that big of favorites, he really stands out to me. It's one of the better plays in the slate. He's a very aggressive player. And again, in a game like this, they should win easily. You could see a massive score here from Bubshy. So I really like him at that price. I also have some interest here in Shajush and Akor. Now, Akor is going to eat up more ownership. He's been playing better recently. With the AWP, a 0.72 kills from 0.60 deaths per round, whereas Shajush, 0.69 and 0.65, has been struggling recently. He really has. But, Shajush, when he's playing well, can still get you some good games, right? If you go back a little bit farther, he can get you 80, 90 when he's playing well. So, the second most popular option here is definitely going to be a core. I think if you want to get risky, you could target Shajush, but it's something, the cash game place here, if you're playing cash games, would probably be Bubshy, would probably be a core. Roge and Asilion. 7K and 6.4K, I think they are viable, But when you have about a $400 difference there with Roge and a core, I much prefer getting into a core. Now, a Cillian, I think you can make the argument there at 6.4K, right? You're probably going to take a shot on one of these cheaper guys. And the cheap guys I would target would definitely be against these teams that are huge favorites, right? So Fnatic guys, right? Mad Lions. So I think a Cillian is in play for that reason. Now, does he have great numbers? No, but this is a game they should be able to win easily. You're really hoping for the 2-0 sweep here. He's pretty cheap. So I guess he's kind of in the range of Golden, right, at 6K. They're pretty similar plays. Next, let's talk about, or I guess we can talk about the Pact side really quick. Yeah, this is a team I'll be completely avoiding. You can scroll through their numbers. Goofy has the best overall numbers, so that would be the one guy I guess I would consider. He's at 7.8K, though. I don't think it's worth the risk, really. Can one of these big underdogs win? Yeah, but on an 8-game slate, again, I don't know if the risk is worth the reward. They could win, but maybe they're not even going to be in the winning lineup. So you got to get that right. You got to hope for the huge upset, and they got to hope they have a really good day in that huge upset too. So it's just like, again, I don't think it's worth. I don't think the risk is worth it. Next, let's talk about Jalapeno versus Complexity. Complexity are the biggest favorites here, minus 1250. So yeah, you got to feel pretty good about this Complexity side. The Jalapeno side is a stay away from me. They're the biggest dogs. I have no interest there. On the Complexity side, I think Blame F. I know he's the most expensive player, but for how well he is playing right now, I really like him. Sure, again, you're gonna have to pay a premium, but I just think for the CS:GO that he's playing right now, he's just on another level. He's been carrying this roster hard, just putting up enormous scores, and they're the biggest favorites. Right, they should be able to win this one easily. So really like Blame F there. And I think Config, Oboe, and Poison all look pretty decent as well. 7.8, 7.6, and 7K respectively. You know, those three are pretty close to me. I think I'm going to still slightly give the edge to Config as my second favorite play, just because I think he has the second most upside. He has the second best numbers as well. If you look at Complexity in their numbers, I think they're all positive besides Rush. But Config, 0.78 kills per round, 0.66 deaths per round. So another pretty aggressive player. Oboe sitting at 0.71 to 0.62, Poison at 0.69 to 0.62. So, yeah, I would go Config if I was going to play someone else in Complexity. But I think Rush makes for an interesting play for his price point, right? 5.2K. This is a guy I basically always avoid on CS:GO slates. But this is a different slate, right? And they're such big favorites that the 2-0 is almost more likely going to happen. And I know Rush doesn't have great numbers, but if you get that 2-0 bonus, if you get that 2-0 sweep, that's plus 20. He's like one of the cheaper options, 5.2K. I have some interest in Rush, right? I know he doesn't really have the best overall numbers, but for how easy of a matchup this is, and the high likelihood that they win 2-0 and he gets a 2-0 bonus, I think he's very much in play as a cheap option if you want to go more of that stars and scrubs approach. Next, we have HAVU versus Big. Now, we do have Big, who's been on fire here, minus 500 favorites. But this is the game that I'm a little worried. I know, again, Big have been playing so well here. They've won the last 5. Beat Virtus Pro 2-1. Beat FaZe 2-0. Beat G2 3-2. Beat Spirit in 4s. So, yeah, they're playing really, really well. But this HAVU team, I think they're pretty talented. They did beat OG 2-0. They beat North 2-1. Those are two good teams. So I don't necessarily agree with this line right now. Big minus 500 favorites. I think Big should be favorites for sure for how well they've been playing. But I would not count out this HAVU team. So this is a game I'm a little bit more worried that an upset could happen. I think this game should probably be Big about minus 200, maybe minus 250. I don't think this should be minus 500 favorites. So let's talk about the Big side first here. Again, they've been playing really, really good Counter-Strike. You have Searson, Tapson, and Xantras. Those are the top 3 guys that I'm interested in. That I have interest in. Searson at 8.4, Tapson at 8.2, Xantras at 7K. So let's take a look at their numbers here for the last 3 months. Tapson at 0.74 kills per round, 0.64 deaths per round. You have Searson at 0.75 and 0.58, and Xantras at 0.76 and 0.62. So all 3 are pretty similar, right? Searson does have the best numbers, and he looks good with the op. But when you have Xantras for what's the difference here on those two guys? $1,400 difference. I think I'm going to give the edge to Xantras for his price. So for the prices, I'd probably rank Xantras 1, Searson 2, Taps 3. Tyson and Keto, I don't think we have to do it on this slate at their prices. Now let's talk about the HAVU side quickly. So this is a team I could see taking a shot on. Let's go over their numbers. So Saw's a complete stay away from me. Dodo as well. I don't think I get to Hoodie either. It's Zori and Slowy that I have some interest in as contrarian options. Because again, I think HAVU has a chance to win this one or keep it close. So Zori is sitting at 0.73 kills per round, 0.59 deaths per round, Slowy at 0.72 and 0.66. So I'm going to prefer Zori there to Slowy for $400 difference. And again, you're getting what? He's got better overall numbers, right? 0.73 and 0.59 compared to Slowy at 0.72 and 0.66. So I'm going to give that to Zori there. So if you wanted to get super contrarian, this might be a spot where I would consider targeting a HAVU guy. Again, this is only a GPP only move, but I could see the upset happening here in this one. Next, let's move on to where we're at here. Contact versus Avez. So this one is, I believe, the closest one if we're just looking at the odds. We have Contact minus 182 favorites. Yeah, this one, I don't know. It's tricky because I don't really have a great feel on it. Now, Contact have beat some decent teams, right? They beat OG 2-0, and OG's really been struggling. Yeah, this might be one where if you're playing a cash game setting, it would probably be a stay away. Even in a GPP setting, I don't have a strong lean here. We can go over these guys and their prices. Let's talk about the Avez side first. So I think Kai or Key, however you pronounce his name, would probably be the one guy I would have interest in. But again, that's a super contrarian option. He's sitting at 0.78 kills on 0.72 deaths per round. So that's not bad compared to everyone else on his team, right? Who was basically like negative. So Key or Kai, however you pronounce the name, would be the one-off I would consider. On the Contact side, I think there's only one guy I really have some interest in. And that's Auto ND. Now, Esperanto is viable too, but if you look at their numbers, Auto ND sitting at 0.71 kills per round, 0.64 deaths per round, compared to Esperanto at 0.72 and 0.7. So I think you can argue Auto ND has better overall numbers. So he'd be the one guy I would consider too. But overall, again, on an 8-game slate, I don't know if we have to target anyone in this game, to be honest. This will probably be a game that I will stay away from. And then lastly, we have the OG game. Where are we at here? OG versus Sprout. OG, again, they are the second smallest favorites of the day. They're at minus 192. They have really, really struggled here. They've lost the last 5 games, some to not so good teams. Now they're going up against Sprout, who is, not the best team either, but another game where you don't really feel great either way. Now, OG are favorites. I think the guy I have some interest in is Matu, just because he has the ability to really put up a big score. He's sitting at, I believe, 8K here on DraftKings. Yeah, 8K. He's put up some big games against some really good teams. So I would have some interest there at that price point. But again, another game where I don't feel great. I think it could go either way. OG have really, really struggled. Valde would be the other guy I would consider. But again, still don't have a great feel. And then on the Sprout side, we can go over their prices really quick here. So if you scroll through their numbers for the last 3 months and who kind of stands out, right? So go through. It's probably Faven, right? 0.74 kills per round, 0.63 dash per round, but you're going to have to pay for it, right? 8K. So sure, can one of these guys, or maybe even a couple of these guys in the last 2 games be in the winning lineup? Yes, but they're a lot riskier. So those are basically GPP only targets, and even so, I still don't even know if I get there to any of those guys on these last 2 games. But yeah, like I said, this is a very different slate to what we've been used to here for CSGO. 8 games, so yeah, you're probably gonna want to go maybe 1-1-1-1. I think you can play 2 players from one team if you feel really confident that they win like super easily, maybe like a Complexity or a Fnatic or a Mad Lions, right? I think that is still a viable approach. Now for cash games, right, I think you just focus on just targeting those huge favorites, right? So those 3 teams, Fnatic, Mad Lions, Complexity. Like I would probably play would probably get most of my exposure from those 3 games if I was playing cash games. And as far as captains go, I think you want to play one of the top guys in the captains. Like, is it worth playing someone cheaper in the captain spot? I don't think so, right? I think you want to get one of those guys that can break the slate, right? So a guy like Blame F, right? A guy like Brolon, Bubsky. Again, those big guys have been playing really well. But those would probably be the guys that I would look to in the captain spot because they just have so much upside. And again, if you have them the captain, they could really break the slate if they have like an enormous game. So that's kind of how I'm targeting this slate. Again, it's a very, very interesting one since we haven't had a huge slate like this in a long time. Now, we do have another 4-game slate, which I'm going to have a separate video up for right after this. We have big-size tournaments there, 25K to first for CSGO for that 4-game slate. So I'll have a video up for that right after this. But thanks again for having to come and check the video. Hope you guys all have a good day, and I will see you guys all in the next one.